Hello, Elijah. Welcome to today's session.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, so I can hear you, Elijah.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Elijah. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, please, I can hear you.
So, do you think they would come, or you think you'd be the only one today?
I, I think probably one person will join. I don't know. I'm not. I'm not really sure.
Let's just wait like some 5 minutes more. Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Sir.
Okay, I think we should start. Okay, when they join, then they join as well. What do you think?
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
this one is it's like a one-on-one, so you get more. Uh, you have an opportunity to learn more.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, today is part two of the speaking test. Okay, so the
Okay.
speaking test, like I said, has three parts. So today is part two. I didn't see you last week, did I?
No, no, I wasn't the last week. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so let me just help you a bit. Let me just go back.
Okay.
So I tried to like test uh, your friends on
Okay.
some like it was sort of like a mock, right? So like
Okay.
all the speaking part one is. Let me just see if I can help you out so you can see what it is. Like, so do you remember how many minutes part one takes? Speaking part one, do you remember how many minutes it is?
I don't remember clearly. I don't know. Is it
Uh,
six? Is it 6 or 10?
no, 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 no. It's 45 minutes. Okay.
Oh, 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's just the first part of it because you have three
Okay.
parts. So the whole test is going to take place for like 15 minutes.
Oh, the whole check is just like 15 minutes
Yes,
after this speaking.
exactly. 15
Oh,
minutes.
I actually thought it was about 30 minutes or so.
No, no, no. That's why you don't have the time to think. So that's why you have to be ready. So when you go in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they ask you a question, there's no time to think literally. So you
Oh,
cannot really like sit down and be like, oh, let me just think. It's like go, 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 go. Right? You get it?
yeah, I get it.
And that's the problem because I mean, you've got like just microseconds to think about something to say, and then eventually you're not too ready, right? And then you say
Okay.
something and you don't say properly, or there's an examiner might just all your mistakes will be jumping out into the examiner's face.
Very true.
Okay. So speaking part one, these are the common topics you're gonna face. Okay. So in the beginning, they would either ask you about your work, study, or these three are definitely gonna. So you get one of these: work, study, or home. So there will be like, well, what do you do? Or something like that. What do you do for a living? Or what do you do? Or
Mm-hmm.
tell me about your home. Or tell me about your house. If you study, they'll go in that direction as well. So where do you study or what do you study and stuff like that. Then they'll ask you a few questions about it. So this is what it looks like. So you see, if it's work, is what is your job? Where do you work? Why did you choose to do that job? And then, so you either get one of these. So you get either work, study, or home or hometown. When you're done,
Mm-hmm.
the examiner will pick one of these for you. So from here, common questions and speaking part. The examiner's going to pick one of these. So it's either art, birthdays, childhood, clothes, computers, daily routine, dictionaries, evenings, family and friends. So speaking is an art, as people say. It's a sign of intelligence. When you're able to speak and speak properly, it's a sign of like intelligence.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is uh, the speaking test is going to do to you on that day. So you want to be very ready, right? Because these are questions we don't really expect. So, for example, there's some questions that you can not make a head and tail of. Honestly, you not just you like, what the heck is this question about? So something like, so you go in there and they're asking you, do you like flowers? The examiner decides to pick a question is about flowers. Do you like flowers? What's your favorite flower? When was the last time you gave someone flowers? It's not that you cannot answer. You can definitely answer, but then it just puts you in some sort of position, right? And if
Yeah.
you don't take care, you might just be fumbling, right? And that's not, we don't want that for you. Okay. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Good. So let's try. Okay. So I'm gonna pick. So you can see them. You see the list is a lot,
It's a lot.
but definitely you get from these. There's no way they're gonna. There's nowhere else. You definitely get. It could be newspapers, reading, shopping, sport, TV, transport. Some things you're quite familiar with. So I would
Okay.
advise that don't go in speaking about the familiar topics that you normally talk about with your friends, just go for the
Yeah.
unfamiliar territory. Go into the uh, unusual territory and just like I don't know how to put this. Right, you need to try yourself out there. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So something like TV, sports, right? Those are things you're quite computers. Those are things I'm sure you're quite privy to, or you already know about in a way or two. Is somebody trying to join us? Okay, Prissy is trying to join us.
Yeah, the special.
I'm very sure this is her first time. Wow, welcome, Prissy. What can we say to you?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Elijah, what do we say to Prissy? Because this is her first time in a long, long time. Anyway, so yeah, so I think he came at the right time. So you guys, I'm gonna quiz you guys, the two of you, just a little bit, okay? Where is the file? Where was I? Where was I? Where was I? Do. Okay, we're here. So yeah, so Priscilla, we're just talking about part one of the speaking test. Okay, today I'm supposed to go through part two with you guys, but because some of you guys have a lot of holes in your attendance, right? So you just some come and don't come. So I'm just being kind and nice, okay? So I'll let Elijah start first. All right. So Elijah, okay. So what do you study?
I study medicine in Kharkiv National Medical University, and I'm in my 6th year. I'm in my final year, about to write my exam in May.
Good. Where do you study? Where do you study that? Okay, you mentioned that already. That's fine. Why did you choose that subject?
Now, I chose that subject because of the passion I have for it. Um, I was previously my dad wanted me to do something a bit of computer engineering, but then because of the passion I have for medicine, I chose that. I chose that path.
Great, nice. Is it a popular subject in your country?
In my opinion, I would say yes. It is a popular subject in my country. We have a lot of doctors, but you can never have enough doctors in the country. Yeah,
Nice. Do you like that subject?
I do like that subject, not because it's popular, but I like it because I have a passion for this subject, and I want to practice as a medical doctor.
Do you get on well? Do you get on with your colleagues?
Basically, not often, because of the attention I need to give to school and to work. Sometimes I I coherently work and then I study, so it's much stress, but I do get along with them when we meet.
What was your first day like?
Uh, my first day was a bit hectic. I had no idea what we were doing or what was happening, but I was able to sail through the day without any issues or problems because I just decided to speak to people to get to understand what's happening.
Good. What are the main aspects of your subject?
The main aspect of my subject, I believe everyone picks out the main aspect that they want in that subject because we all specialize in different fields. But the main aspect for me, it's in the internal medicine and surgery. Those are the ones I love personally.
Good. If you had the chance, would you change subject?
Not at all, and this is because I've always wanted to study that subject ever since I was a child. Let's say somewhere 10 from 15 from my teenage age. So yeah.
Do you plan to get a job in the same field as your subject?
E- And that is a yeah, absolutely, like definitely. I plan to get a job and I want to specialize as a cardiothoracic surgeon. So I am leaning and studying towards that.
Nice. Thank you so much, Elijah. There's really something I like about you, honestly. You know what that is? The
No,
fact that you
please.
don't just give answers, you try to always expand on them, right? So what you study, you don't just go out there and say, well, oh, I study medicine in Kharkiv. You always extend your answers. And if you keep that up, honestly, you're gonna blow your IELTS, you're gonna ace your IELTS. And that is what they want because they don't want people that will just come because let's see, where's the band descriptors, as I always say.
Okay.
of course, we are not perfect, right? There will definitely be errors and all that. Did somebody else join us? I don't know who joined us.
Ingrid.
Oh, Ingrid is here too. Okay. Out. Yeah, good. So, yeah, so you can see this is the band descriptor for speaking. Okay, so if you go and you're given short answers, right? Let's say you wanted band 7 and above, the examiner will not be able to judge you, right? Band 7 says speaks at length without noticeable effort, and they need to find all these things in your speaking, like things like idiomatic vocabulary. Look at that here,
Yeah, very true.
and it says okay, may demonstrate language hesitation at times, but and then there may be some repetitions too, right? So if you want to ban AIDS, it says occasional inaccuracies, idiomatic vocabulary, wide range of pronunciation features. There is a lot. So if you're given short sentences, they will not be able to grade you properly because they don't know who you are, and then you're going to get like about 5 and below, right? So
Yeah.
you actually for your first time, you did amazing, honestly, right? Honestly, what can I say? Mm, try to keep it like 2 to 3 sentences.
Thank
Three
you.
sentences is fine,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
You see, I was saying good to you, like good, okay, good. The examiner is not going to say that to you, honestly.
Yeah.
He'll interrupt
Okay.
you or like interject. So if it's what you study and you're saying something, they will not say good. The examiner is not going to comment on whatever you say because that's not what you're supposed to do, okay?
Okay.
So you only get the examiner's remarks when you get your results. So sometimes you might think, oh, probably I did well, but then the results come and then, or the examiner might be smiling to you and all that, but then eventually you might not like your grade. So you did
Okay.
extremely well for a first time, honestly. You didn't just let it, you were not answering questions like yes or no, okay? So that's what you guys should try to always avoid in IELTS speaking. Please do not give short answers because when you give short answers, you'd be penalized for that. Okay, so always try to extend your answers in the part 1 section. So this is part 1. Okay, extend like 2 to 3 sentences. Okay, and that'll be fine. So you did amazing, honestly, Elijah. You've done so well. I think you could
Okay.
follow my friends. So keep. I mean, like I said earlier, I just watch Friends. Okay,
Okay. Yeah. You did. Yeah.
gonna boost your speaking even much more. Okay, so
All right.
yeah, great. So. Hmm. Let me come back to the other people. So there's Prissy, and then there's I think Ingrid already did this one, right? That was last week. So I'm gonna leave Ingrid alone. So Priscilla, do you wanna try? Do you wanna give it a go? What do you think? Do you wanna try? Are you there, Priscilla, or you're busy? If
I'm here. Given that I don't really know the rules governing,
exactly,
um,
yes,
I think
yes,
I'll
the
go
rules.
for
Yeah.
it.
So
So
Elijah, what do we do to Prissy? Ingrid, what do we do to her? Do we what do we do?
Quiz here. Quiz here. Yes. Let her go to the same thing.
Should we
So then you
punish her or
continue.
something like
No.
that?
Let her answer.
Hey,
Should we?
yeah, I thought we're friends, Elijah.
Oh, we are friends, so I'm trying to help you. Don't see. You have to answer. Mm.
Okay, sure. Don't worry. Because it's the first time, right? We'll just we'll let it pass. Okay, we'll let it slide for this time. Okay, so um let's see what we're gonna do. So you guys, please keep this in mind. Okay, you definitely get one of these from part 1 in speaking for sure. I can guarantee you. So when you start, when you go into the room, right? They'll take your ID, right? The ID you used in booking. They're gonna take it and then they'll verify if it's you, right? And the examiner is gonna start recording and say, maybe my name is Young or my name is Elijah, and this is the IELTS speaking test on blah 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 27th. Sorry, I said 22nd, whatever, March 2000 and da, 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 da. So and then your ID you mention it in the recording. So it's been recorded because for 2 reasons. Um, there's going to be another examiner somewhere that would mark you as well. So there are 2 examiners that would normally oversee your speaking. Okay, so then the average, they will strike the average of the 2 examiners and give you your mark. And secondly, as well, sometimes some people uh, they're not happy with your results, and so they want to remark in something, or they want a review of their their test results. So when you can always ask for a review. You just pay, I think, an amount, and then they would remark work, they'll send it to different examiners. So that's the reason why you're recorded as well. So they keep a record, so that, just in case. Okay, so yeah, so like I said, try to always go for to the unusual territory, unfamiliar topics, right? So for something like Elijah, you should practice things like flowers, evenings, dictionaries, daily routines, right? Of course, you definitely you'd appreciate it if you get a question about sports, right? Because I mean, guys, we're always talking about sports and things. So I don't.
I would love it.
Yeah, I know. When you're practicing, don't go with sports. Just go in for the ones that you might feel uncomfortable with. Okay. And the same for Ingrid and Percy. So you don't want to go in for flowers or family and friends, the familiar ones. Go in for the ones like sports. Let's see, let's see, weather, transport, right? Clothes, computers, right? So push yourself, okay? Just push yourself to the limits. And that is it for you guys. So I'm just gonna jump into part two, which is our topic for the day. Right. So where's the thing? So before we go, I had this thing to show to you guys. I don't know if it's still here. Okay, so yeah, this was done in 2019. This is the average score for each of the sections in IELTS. That was in 2019. So the whole world is a worldwide score average. So you can see the average for speaking was 6, reading was 6, listening was 6, and definitely writing is 5.5 because writing is always the toughest. So if you don't prepare, right? If you don't get ready for the test properly, right, you'd be getting a 6 or below, right? If you don't know the inner runnings of IELTS, it's most likely that you're going to fall below these marks. So it's not an easy test. Don't say, oh, listening is easy, oh, speaking is easy. No, 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 it's not. All right. Don't take any of them for granted. Okay, great. So let's move it on. And here we go. Just minimizing all these things. So yeah. So part two is part two. So to be honest, right, when it comes to IELTS, please take away your shyness, okay? Don't worry, it's not gonna kill you. It's not a snake that's gonna bite you, right? Like I always say, speaking is a form of intelligence. If you're able to speak to people in a crowd or to an audience, or you're very fluent or skilled at speaking, it's some sort of intelligence. Sorry, my phone. Let me just mute my phone. Okay, yeah. So it's some sort of intelligence, okay? So please put away the shyness, the timidity, and let's take up some boldness or temerity. Okay, that's a nice little word for you guys. Temerity is just courage or being brave, okay? So part two is like you're going to be talking for 1 to 2 minutes. That's what part two is about. Can you guys just give me a moment? Let me just pick this quickly. I'll just be with you guys, okay? Yeah, sorry about that. Can you guys hear me? I'm back.
Yes.
Good. So I like to call it a long turn because you're actually going to speak for long. You're going to speak. So here's a case where it's no more 2 to 3 sentences, but you're speaking like for 1 to 2 minutes. And trust me, if you're asked to speak for 1 to 2 minutes, it's very difficult about a topic for 1 to 2 minutes. It's not easy. Trust me, it is not. Okay, so part two is an opportunity to give a long answer and then produce a flow of English. So not just speaking for nothing. You're producing a flow of English. So you want to be logical and coherent in your speaking, okay? So one of the things students find the hardest is thinking of things to say. Right. So in part two, so let's say you got a question in part one. So let's say, where's this thing? Um, so let's say Percy got a question about um, family and friends in part one to speak about, right? It's most likely she's going to continue in that uh, format in part two. So she'll get a similar thing in part two, right? but then this time it'll be much harder for her, and in part 3 as well. So they wouldn't just pick random topics for you to make it difficult for you. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. So if you had to speak about something like animals or maybe sports in part 1, it's most likely you're going to speak about sports again, or maybe it's the engagement in sports in part 2. Okay, so they'll normally give you a card or a booklet, right? So the examiner is going to like slide a booklet into your direction or just hand it over to you, and it's going to be like this. So is that a card? It could be a card or a booklet, and it will say, talk about something you like doing during the winter. Okay, you should say what you do, where you do it, what clothes or equipment you need, explain why you like doing it, and you would have to talk for about 1 to 2 minutes, right? And you would have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say. So in this section, they're very kind because they know you're going to talk for long. They'll give you like 1 minute to prepare your answers. So the examiner will give you a pencil or a pen and a piece of paper as well, just to make some notes. I would advise that when you make the notes, right, don't read from the notes, because you might lose some marks over there. Because basically, they'll think maybe you just, how do I call it? As we say in Ghana, chew and pour, isn't it? So you went out there, you just read something, and you're vomiting it in a parrot fashion. So you know parrots, right? The parrot is a bird. You just tell it something, and it will give you back what you said.
Yeah.
You don't want to be doing that in the exam. Okay? You don't want to be so mechanical in your dealings and speaking. You want to be very flexible and natural. Okay. So the bullet points are designed to help you structure your talk. These ones here, bullet points. Make sure that you cover everything. If you don't cover, you lose marks. Okay. So this one says talk about something you like doing during the winter. Or let's change it to summer. It's the same thing. So you should say what you do, right? And you should say where you do it, what clothes or equipment you need, and explain why you like doing it during the winter. Okay. It's really hard to know how much you can say in a minute. So it's really important to prepare for this part of the exam. I would advise you prepare for it. Okay. And always, if you want to know if you can speak for long, you can just use a stopwatch or record yourself. Okay. And then listen to yourself, play back your voice and see how you said. Okay. So the goal is to talk for at least 1 to 2 minutes, right? But I would advise that if you talk for like 1.5 minutes, it's fine, okay? It's not bad. Yeah, so these are some pitfalls to avoid. Some candidates prepare topics for part 2 that they have learned by heart, right? Some people like to call it learning by rote. So, well, there's really nothing like chew and pour. I think chew and pour it's a Ghanaian terminology. So if you want to go like you say rote, so you learn by rote. So instead of saying chew and pour, in which probably the examiners might understand, just say learning by rote. Okay, that's a nice little comment. So when you hope I'm getting my spelling right. Oh, it's a rote learning. So you see that, there we go. So can you guys see? So that's it, mechanical or habitual repetition of something to be learned. Okay, so most of us did that in school when we wanted to pass an exam, right? So if we had some E-marks or science or French, we would just learn about roads. Okay, so that's a nice little word for you guys. I don't know why Colin's gonna recognize that word. It's like whatever. Okay, so yeah, where were we? Good stuff. So yeah, this is a bad idea because you cannot predict the topic you would receive. Okay, so examiners are trained to spot memorized answers, right? And they'll know if you memorized an answer, okay? Because you'll not be natural. You'll be so robotic that you wouldn't sound natural at all. right? Some people like to call it parrot fashion answers. Okay. And my last tip for you guys is sometimes if you want to sound natural in English, you can always express a regret, right? And you become so sentimental and emotional that it's believable. So let's see an example. So let's say you can say, I wish I could swim. If I knew how to swim, I could enjoy water sports, right? So you say something like, if I had known, I wouldn't have gone to that restaurant, right? So you're expressing the regret, and it becomes natural because it's like you're being emotional about it, right? So if you could do it, I'm not saying do it. If you can do it, do it. Okay, but it's nice. It's a nice way to just express your emotions, and you sound very natural and true in whatever you're saying. Okay. We spoke about complex sentences in our first um, meeting, right? So I'll not touch too much on that. So this is just like me orienting you guys to the part 2 speaking. I'm going to switch to the real slide that we have to go about today. This one was just some sort of orientation about part 2. Do you have any questions so far? Does anybody have any questions? Please speak to me. Someone unmute.
I know.
How about Prissy and Ingrid? I've not heard from Ingrid today. Are you guys there?
Yes, I'm there.
Good. Okay, so now let's really test our English. Okay, I'm going to switch the slide. This was just orienting you guys. So always keep this in mind. Once you're done with part 1, you're just going to move into part 2. And then the examiner would give you a cue card or a booklet, which is going to be like this, okay? And give you a pencil or a piece of paper. Sorry, a pencil or pen with a piece of paper so you can make notes. So they'll give you 1 minute to just structure your mind and ideas. Okay, then you can now have a go for 1 to 2 minutes. Please do not talk below 1 minute, because if you do, you might lose marks. Some examiners are nice, right? Some are not nice. And please don't wait for any reaction from the examiner. The examiner is not going to say anything at all to you. It's not a friendly conversation because you're being recorded. So the examiner only come in when they have to ask you questions. And sometimes in part 3, we're not, today's not part 3. Sometimes in part 3, the examiner might decide to have a conversation with you, but then it will be very short, okay? So don't wait to, don't expect, oh, the examiner to say something like good or well done. No, please just talk nicely and then leave it there, okay? Good, so let's get into business now. Let's go into business territory. Oh, so many files out here. Yeah, here we go, good. Yeah. Let's wait for it. Good. This is part 2. Nice. So I made this template for you guys, okay? So please try to concentrate because you benefit really well from it. So in part 2, there are so many topics you could get. You could get things about events, places, activities, people, or things, okay? So it's going to be from one of these areas. So you could either talk about a thing. Let's say, what are things? Things might be a toy. Describe a toy you had when you were young. Talk about what the toy was, why you liked it, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, those are things. Or describe a jewelry that you got from someone, or a watch or something. And then events are definitely like any event you've been to. Talk about where it was, what you did, why you liked it, da 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 da. Places, any of the places you've been to, whether it's a museum or it's a castle, it's a fort, it is a mountain, it's a safari, anything. Activities are what you do, like your hobbies, like reading newspapers, watching television. And people, let's say, describe your best friend. I'm sure most of you have besties or boyfriend, girlfriends, or whichever ones it may be. Mom, dad, favorite person, your role models. So you could be asked to describe such things. So you'd either get from any of these, you get from any of these. So most of the questions would usually fit into these categories. Okay. So, for example, things.
Please, can I chip in a quick question?
Yes, please. You can do that. Always. You can feel free. Okay. Go ahead.
Concerning the things, say you've been given something you've never had a personal experience on, or you have like absolutely no idea about it. Could you be blunt about it and be honest that personally you've not had any experiences? I don't know. How do you go about a question
Yeah.
like that?
Yes, that's a very good question, honestly. Right. That's the problem with Ielts speaking, right? Because sometimes they give you question or topics that you can't really make the head and tail of. Like you're like, oh my God, in my mind, what is this? I've not really experienced such a thing. It's quite unfortunate, right? Yeah, in such cases, you could honestly tell the examiner that you don't you could tell the examiner, right? It's allowed. You could tell the examiner that, well, I don't know too much about this topic. Uh, it's something I cannot really speak about. If you could change it for me, kindly change it for me, right? And then they might address your needs. Some of them might not be willing. So if that's the case, so let's say that's where you have to be creative now. See, that's why I said speaking is a form of intelligence. So you just want to like over here when that happens, right? You just want to like mix up moments, right? Just try to uh fabricate probably or cook some stories, but make sure you're not lying entirely. But just try and just make up some things, okay? But all in all, honestly, right? Preparation is the key, right? So let's say you have things, events, places, activities, people. Practice how to talk about things, right? And then practice how to talk
Okay.
about events, and then practice how to talk about places, so that when that day comes, right, you definitely
Mhm.
get one out of these, and then you find that you'll be able to talk about it. Do you get it? So things, there's a ton of questions under things. There are about 50 questions under things that they could ask you. But when you just practice how to just talk about things in general, you should be good to go, right? So let's say this is things over here, right? You can see these are the type of questions you could get under things. A movie, favorite item, something you borrowed, a toy. You don't have to go in singly or individually and try to practice. No, just practice how to talk about things, right? So when they give you, so when on that day when you find your question, you can just ask yourself, "Oh, what is this? Is it a thing? Is it an event? Is it a place? Is it an activity? Is it people?" Right? So when you approach the question like that, it might be easier for you. Okay. So so I gave you three answers there. So the first one was, if you feel it makes you uncomfortable, just let the examiner know. Okay, that's the first one. And secondly, as well, um, yeah, just try to cook up or just mix it up or fabricate some stories out there. Don't make it entirely fake, because they'll find out and you might not be able to talk a lot. Okay, just mix up some realities with some fiction. Okay, and then the third one is my method, this one. So use this method, use the templates method as a framework approach. Okay, so just group your topics into these five things. Okay, these five categories, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, because definitely you get from one of these. Okay, so let's say you go in there and then you get something like let's see, let's go down. So okay, so describe a time you had to wait. Can you see how boring this question is, how unusual it is? This question can really put you off. It says, describe a time you had to wait. Or let's say, describe a time you had to wake up early. Or describe a colorful event that you enjoyed. So this question can really upset you, right? And so what you can do is ask yourself, what is this? Where does it fall? So here, it falls under events. Okay. So you can just like practice how to talk about these things in general. And then on that day, I'm very sure you'll be good. Okay. Does that answer your question, Percy?
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Okay, good. So things. So yeah, describe a movie you saw recently. So let's see how we do it. So if it's about things, the steps are, how did you get that thing? Okay, so always talk about how you got it. If it's a like let's say a toy you had when you were a child, if it's a favorite item of clothing, if it's something you borrowed which was useful, maybe you borrowed someone's coal pot, or you borrowed someone's whatever you could have borrowed. Dress, okay, describe how you got it. If it's a movie, probably it was a ticket, and then someone got it for you, or something like that. So then how you got it, and then now you describe the thing. Okay, so now when you're describing the thing, that's the second thing. Then finally, my favorite, use emotive language. So why was it important? Okay, so you're expressing feelings. If you're able to express feelings in language, it always shows some trueness to your language, and it shows some sincerity, and it makes it more believable, right? All right, okay, good. So language and how you got it, let's see. So if it's like a toy you had when you were a child, you can say, I came across it. That's a nice little idiomatic language for you, right? So in part one, I explained what idioms are. So maybe because for precision sake, I'm just going to repeat it, okay? So an idiom, basically, or idiomatic language, right? Let's say, Percy, can you give me one idiom? Do you have any idiom in mind, idiomatic expression? Remember we learned those things.
To kick the bucket, I
Nice,
guess.
nice. You just stole mine. That was in my mind, actually. Good. So kick the buckets, right? So something like kick the buckets. It's an idiom for sure, isn't it? So if you take the whole expression kick the bucket, right? The meaning of kick the bucket is different from the individual words. Because if you say kick the bucket, you're actually kicking the bucket physically with your leg, right? So, but that's not the meaning. It means to die, isn't it? So what an idiom is that you can never really guess what an idiom is. So the meaning of an idiom or the expression is different from the individual words. So kick the bucket. It doesn't mean you're kicking the bucket. It just means somebody died. Okay, so let's say Professor Atamios kicked the bucket in 2012, was it, or 2011, or Jerry John Rollins kicked the bucket. So you're not saying that they kicked the bucket with their legs. No. Okay. So you're not saying that you kicked it with your legs. Or you can say another expression for kick the bucket could be bite the dust. So when you bite the dust, you're dead, you die. So Professor Atamios bit the dust more than, or let's say a decade ago. So it's kick the bucket, bite the dust, gave up the ghost, right? All these ones. So it doesn't mean that you're actually using your teeth to bite the dust. So that is what makes idiomatic language difficult, and it's mostly reserved for native speakers. So if you're able to show your idiomatic range, they definitely you're making a statement. You're telling the examiners that okay, I'm a band 7 and above because look at this. It says lexical resource, idiomatic vocabulary, right? I don't want you guys to go in there and then just vomit a lot of idiomatic expressions in your sentences. You're going to sound very, very unnatural. And one thing about idiomatic expressions is that even if you're a native speaker band 9, you cannot understand all the idiomatic languages in the world. And so sometimes your examiner might not even understand you. That'll put them off. Okay. So what I'll suggest is use phrasal verbs because phrasal verbs are idiomatic as well. So one nice phrasal verb is what can I say? Let's say hang out, or let's say chill out. Right. So I'll be hanging out with my friends next week. It doesn't mean you're going outside to hang yourself, right, with a rope or noose. It just means you're going to have a good time with your friends, right? Or you can say something like, um, chill out, right? It doesn't mean you're chilling in like you're freezing. It doesn't mean you're freezing in the cold, right? It just means you're having a good time. Okay, so it's the same for this one. Came across. It's a nice phrasal verb. It is a phrasal verb, but it is idiomatic. Okay, so because if you come across something, you just found it, right? Okay, it has an idiomatic tone to it. There are a ton of phrasal verbs in English language. It's a lot. I mean, it's just too many out there. Okay, So I'm sure you guys have yours as well. Keep those ones and add more to it, okay? So yeah. So this is language and how you got it. So I came across it. I picked it up. It was a gift from my mom. It was a gift from my father, my dad, something like that. So that's how you got it. Okay. And then this could be language for describing the thing. If it was a toy, or you can say, let's say it was a Superman toy. I'm thinking about that because it's for boys. I don't know if ladies like toys. Okay, let's say Barbie, right? So you can say, well, it was a state of the art toy. It was high tech toy, which could speak, or you could just press a button on it and it will start speaking. Right? Or you can say square shaped, roundish, pear shaped, blah blah blah. So you're describing. Okay, and then finally the emotive language. So if you say something like this to the examiner, it means a lot to me because can you imagine? You're just showing your emotions, and it sounds true because for something to mean a lot to you means that it really happened. It's true. Okay, I couldn't live without it. It's like no other. Good. So that would be just a short template on how to go about describing things. Okay. So any questions so far, guys?
Not yet.
Okay, good. So we can move on to the next one, events. So I'm sure you guys have been to a lot of places. You guys have visited several places. So it could be like, describe when you were with people and got bored. Can you imagine this question? You go into the exam room with the examiner, and then in your cue card or your booklet is describe when you were with people and got bored. I mean, how boring is this question itself? How do you go about this question? Like, oh, what do I say? But thankfully, there's always going to be, if you guys remember, yeah, on the cue card, they'll tell you what to say. So there's always going to be bullet points to guide you. Okay, so you will not be left alone on the desert. Okay, good. So describe the time you had to wait. Describe the time you had to wake up early in the morning. Describe a colorful event that you enjoyed. So with events, always consider the setting. Okay, so where and why you were there, and what was the story, right? What was the story about? And then were people involved in that event? Did you go with your friends? Did you go with strangers or whatever, family? And what happened? Was there any thing worth mentioning? Okay, was there any were there any nice moments? Were there any eventualities out there? Okay, so I'm just guiding you guys on how to go about it. Okay, so you can add what you have here to what you find on that day on the cue card. Okay, and then it would help you speak for a long, 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 long while. So let's say the language on setting, uh, let's use one of the questions. Describe a time or describe when you were with people and got bored. All right. So it probably happened in 2018. Well, I was living in Kumasi at the time. Blah blah blah. Right. When I was working in Johannesburg, I used to live in New Delhi, and okay, or I would usually da 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 da. Okay, something like that. Okay, and then when you have to talk about the people in there, what the people that you went with, were they rude? You can describe them. Were they inconsiderate? Were they thoughtful? Were they sensitive? Were they quiet? Right. So let's say uh, describe a time you had to wait. Who were you waiting for? Maybe you're waiting for your friend, your best friend. Maybe you're waiting for your friend of the opposite gender. Maybe you're waiting for your mom or dad or whoever, your boss or your classmate or colleague. And you can just say, well, he was very inconsiderate, right? In the end, I had to wait for him for such a long, long time, and he did not apologize. Blah blah blah, something like that, right? He was very inconsiderate. He wasn't thoughtful. He just shoved it. I mean, blah blah blah. Okay, so he was rude, inconsiderate, or if it's about uh, another setting, you could talk about witty, smart, quick on your feet, so to be full of beans. Those are all like um, nice idiomatic languages for you guys. So who can tell me what full of beans means? Let me test you guys and see. Well, what does it mean when it says someone is full of beans? Or I say, oh, I'm full of beans today because I'm talking to you guys. What does that mean? Does anybody know?
I have no idea.
Yeah. See, so that's the thing. You see, that's the thing about idioms. So you can see that this is an idiom, right? Full of beans doesn't mean that somebody's packed beans into their belly. Okay. It just means you're lively or in high spirits. Okay, so I'm full of beans today because I'm talking to you guys. And that's why I always advise the dictionary. Oh, I gave you guys a lot of tips in the first section, and I'm having to repeat myself. So for people like us, right, like Ghanaians who are like um, maybe like English is our second language or maybe first language, but definitely we are not native speakers of English, right? We need a native voice, right? We lack native voices to aid us. And so, what could be your native voice? The dictionary, because the dictionary is the gold standard of English, right? Even some native speakers, whether British or American or Australian, right, might not understand some things, but the dictionary is always there to help us. So, something like full of beans, you just define it. Here we go, full of beans, lively and high spirits. Okay. To be quick on your feet it means you're smart or you're very intelligent. Okay. There we go. So, and then you go in that um, order. So if something happened, you can say, well, looking back again, I wouldn't have waited for my friend because blah 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 because he was rude, he was arrogant, he was thick-skinned, he was insensitive, and blah blah blah. Okay, yeah. So you could say, I wish I'd known. I wouldn't have attended the event. Right? I wish I'd known. I would have gone somewhere else. Good. So we'll move on to our third one, people. People. So if it's people, you can always describe a friend. You can have a question that describes a friend that you feel proud of, or describe your favorite teacher back in school, or it could say describe someone you look up to as a role model. So at the end of today, I'll give some of you guys a, I'll make you some of you have a go. Okay, so let's say describe someone you look up to as a role model. If it's Obama, you look up to, or if it's Michelle Obama, if it's Barack Obama, who could it be? If it's Akufu Ado, if it's Atamios, well, I don't know if some people will look up to Akufu Ado now because of what's happening. That's just by the way, teasing you guys. So yeah, so if it's about people, it could even be like describe your best friend. Or okay, so the steps you have to talk about who they are, right? Um, how you got to know them. So I think I was typing too fast out here. And then you can now describe them in detail, their personalities, their natures, their characteristics, and blah blah blah. So who they are. So let's say X. I don't want to use any names, so I'm just using alphabets. Xavier or X was a former colleague of mine, right? Or Daniel or Diana was a classmate of mine. So take note of the style here. This is like band 7-ish territory. Because a band 6 or band 5 person will say, oh, Diana was my classmate, which is very easy. But then a band 7, 8, 9 or an above person will come and say, well, Diana was a classmate of mine. And so now they've made it more complex, right? They made it more possessive. So they're using possessive pronouns out there. Okay, instead of just going the simpler way and say, oh, Diana was my classmate, right? It's just, Diana was a classmate of mine, right? So the ability to just play with the English, right? That's what band 7, 8, and 9ers do.
I've got a question, please.
Good. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So concerning this,
Mm-hmm.
what if you had a best friend, but you're no more in talking terms, or you're no more like that again? Does it also fit this particular topic? Because
Absolutely.
then,
It's
okay,
most
and
definitely.
then
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
secondly, for fluency, what
Mm-hmm.
if the person status does it accounts for anything.
What do you mean? Sorry, say that. What if the person what?
Status, like,
Status,
or,
right? Like in their speech, right?
yeah,
Or stammers, is that what you mean? Or status? Okay, I
yes,
get.
yeah.
Good. I mean, if someone is like naturally a stutterer or stammers, right? It'll be evident. It'll be apparent, wouldn't it? So I think they wouldn't penalize you for that. Okay. So let's see what they say about fluency. Speaks at length without noticeable effort, right? So if you can speak at length without any effort or loss of coherence, right? That's about 7 territory, right? And speaks fluently with occasional repetition. I know looking at it is quite scary with band descriptors, but come on, practice is what makes perfect, okay? Practice is what makes perfect. Don't worry. You can't just say, well, I'll go into Ielts speaking and I'm gonna get a good mark. No, you have to practice it, okay? Honestly, you would have to practice it. You have to actually learn to speak. So during this time leading up to your exam, you could just make yourself more English oriented. So you want to avoid all the vernaculars, the pigeon territories, how they call it, broken English slash blah 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 blah, right? All those kind of jargons, and just stick to like academic English stuff. Okay, so if you want to watch some Nigerian or Ejako movies, right? Just for the time being, just let them be. Just avoid those ones. Okay, just focus on like the healthy ones. Okay, like the news, right? Like Friends that I told, or like for me personally, I like animals because I'm a nature lover. So I just like to watch my documentaries, and that's how I get it as well. So you guys could just there's so many good things out there you can find on YouTube or wherever, right? Just and like I'm sure you guys have your mobile devices. So when you like watching such, right? Don't just watch it. If you find words that you're not used to, just make a note of those words, and maybe you'll just have like a file, just sort of like create some sort of like how do I call it, notes, okay, where you have all the list of words you want to learn, or you're, for example, maybe you're on the bus and you're listening to the radio in English and you hear something that you're not too familiar with. You can just put it down on your mobile device. When you're free, you check them out and how to use them, okay? And that's how we learn, okay? So you make use of the opportunity because honestly, if you just go in there, it wouldn't help you because if you don't know, you don't know. You can't just um, miraculously just become a band niner out of nowhere or band eight person out of nowhere. You have to put in the effort, okay? Especially if you are in a place where it's like English mixed with the other languages, okay? Okay, good, good, good. So that'll be my advice or tip, not advice, come on. Who am I to advise you guys? It'll be my tip for you guys, okay? That'll be my tip or admonition for you guys. Okay. Good, good, good. Oh, so many tabs opened. Don't even know where this thing is now. Okay, good. Here we go. So yeah. Let's say W is one of the most intelligent people I know. Well, instead of saying most intelligent, but you can go into band 8 or 7 territory and say, well, Williams is the cleverest person I know. If you want to sound very band 8ish, 9ish, you can say, well, Williams was a former colleague of mine, and I must say that he was as sharp as a knife, or he was as bright as a button, right? Something like that. Now that's idiomatic territory, okay? So he was as sharp as a knife. It doesn't mean that he's a knife that you're going to use to kill someone. No, it just means he was very intelligent, okay? So don't forget my definition for idioms. Idioms, the whole expression, the meaning behind the expression is different from the individual words. So sharp as a knife, right? Doesn't mean that your your sharpness is like a knife where you cut someone. Okay, no, it just means you're intelligent. Or you can say as bright as a button. Okay, good. So I'm hoping that you guys are understanding the form here. Okay, good. And then you can talk about yeah. Okay, this is it. He's arguably. So sometimes if you don't want to sound very snobby, right, or very arrogant or conceited in English, you can always use modifiers or adverbs. So instead of saying, well, maybe you're talking about your friend, right? Your best friend, right? Instead of saying, well, he's the most intelligent person I've ever seen in my life. Of course, there's no one person that is the most intelligent in the world, isn't it? You can use the word arguably, and then you just add some sort of a nice little effect to some tone. Right? You just tone it down a little bit. He's arguably one of the most intelligent persons I've ever met. So you use the word arguably just to tone it down a little bit. Okay. All right. So he's arguably one of the greatest presidents in human history. Right. If you go out there and you're saying, oh, he's the greatest, without a doubt, he's the greatest president in human history, you sound very snobbish, right? And very like arrogant in your speaking, right? Quite pompous, as others would say. So we don't want to do that. I mean, you can go ahead and say, it's just a style. I'm just giving you guys a style, how to go about it. Okay, it's like a style for you guys. Okay, good. I'm not saying that. You can go ahead and say as well. Say definitely the way it is. So talk about how you know them. So I first met them. Why? Like I first met Yvonne 2 years ago. Or you can say, okay, so another mistake. So really, I was like so many typos, sorry, errors. So let's say I've known Elijah for donkey's years now. Yet again, idiomatic expression. Again, so the person is not a donkey. You're not insulting the person, okay? So to know someone for donkey's years means that you've known them for a really long, long time. So to know someone for donkey's years now, you've known them for a long time. Okay, so I've known Elijah for donkey's years now, or we go back a long time. Or you can say, well, I'll tell you what, Elijah was a former colleague of mine, and I've known him for donkey's years now, and I appreciate the relationship between us. Something like that. You go ahead, then describe them. So, what is their personality like? Are they extroverted? Right? Are they sociable or social butterflies? Right? So, just a nice little word for you guys again. Right? Gregarious. So if you say someone is gregarious, the person is sociable, right? Is an extrovert basically. So always appreciate your dictionary, okay? Back in school, the way I was taught, I was taught by my teacher. I said this before. Back in Pub Jones, we had this teacher. He was called Mr. Asante, right? He's always like, well, these boys, right? It's always about physics, maths, chemistry, and you live English, right? So the results will come. Who said maths E, physics B, physics E, not English D E. So he was always advising us to use our dictionaries. Okay, anywhere you go, just carry your dictionaries with you. Okay, so in today's world, we have dictionaries in our pockets and our phones. So just download the dictionary. And when you're reading something on social media, Instagram, anywhere, Facebook, or the news, Ghana Web, anywhere, just use the dictionary. Just look out words you're unfamiliar with, okay? And that's how we learn. That's how we boost our English, okay? Great. So if the person is introverted, you can say antisocial, blah, blah, blah. You know, we all have some arrogant friends, right? So you can say they're pompous, they're self-absorbed, and blah, 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 blah. So you don't say this. This is not really English. It's too known. Well, it is a Ghanaian phrase, but there's really nothing like that, okay? There's nothing like he's too known. It's not really correct, okay? If I mean,
Quick question, Doc. Sorry to interrupt.
no, sure.
Could this be considered as an idiom?
Which one?
Or the two known? Do they cross check all the idioms? I mean, you make mention of, or if they don't know, they'll just take it as if it is one and then they'll let it go.
For that one, I don't know honestly, but I would advise that don't say too known because too known is not an idiom and it's probably not even proper or good English. It's Ghanaians are the only ones that understand this. Honestly, if you say someone is too known, instead of saying too known, you can say, well, he's all knowing, right? So that's a better way to say it. Too known is just like some sort of cooked up, formulated thing. Okay, so instead of saying too known, he's all knowing. So if someone is all knowing, the person is basically arrogant, right? Acts like snobby, right? Very self-absorbed sort of thing. So please, I honestly I advise you on this one. Don't use too known. If it happens that you want to say no, don't say too known. It's not standard in English. It's not okay. Okay. When you're done with Ielts speaking, probably you can go back to using too known. I use it as well. I mean, I know it's not correct, but I do use it too. So it's instead of saying too known, you can say all knowing or he's arrogant. Okay, so let's say Rita is I must say that Rita is pretty gregarious, right? And I appreciate that quality of hers. However, she's a bit all knowing or she's a bit pompous. Right. So you can see you're switching. Right. So you made mention of something positive and then you went into the negative section as well, something like that. Okay. But please avoid this thing too known. So things like chew and pour, too known or something like that. Yeah, just try to figure something else. Okay. Places. Yeah, so describe a place you visited with friends. You could get that. Describe your dream house. I'm so sure some of you have your dream houses in mind. Describe a place you'd want to visit in the future. So for this, you can approach it in this way. Where is this place? What it looks like? What to do when you get there? How you feel about it? And you can also add who you want to go there with or who you went there with. Okay. So let's say where. Let's say, well, what are we talking about? Elmina Castle is the place you want to go to, right? Or your favorite, or your dream house. You can say, well, I would honestly wish that my dream house be secluded or tucked away from the city, something like that. Okay, so when something is tucked away, it literally means that it's not, it's hidden away or it's secluded from the city center. So it's like just on its own, isolated in the back streets near my home, something like that. Okay. All these are just nice little expressions for you guys, right? Or let's say you went to a museum and you can say, oh, the museum is slap bang in the middle of the city. So basically, it's right there, boom, right? Good. So I'm just teaching you guys how to approach Ielts speaking. So if you look at the band descriptors, where are we? All right, let's see. Look at what band 8. So if you want a band 8 or band someone help me with this. Yeah, look at band 8. Here it says uses less common and idiomatic vocabulary skillfully with occasional inaccuracies. So in your speaking, you want to show less common expressions. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to teach you guys here. So instead of saying things like statue, right? Maybe you're talking about Kwame Nkrumah's statue, probably. Or okay, you went to a museum and you saw a statue of what's this? Maybe Queen Elizabeth. Right? You can use the word monument, and then now you're in band 7 territory. Because statue is popular. I mean, band 5s and 6s, they all know statue. Okay, so you can use monument instead, right? Oh, it's a really enchanting monument, right? Which reminds us of history in a sense, something like that. Okay, and you just go, and you talk. Okay, good. My voice is going now. I'll have to. I can't wait to get you guys on this. So, what it looks like. So, if you're describing the place or the building, you can talk about what it looks like. So, it's a weather-beaten building, right? For sure, Elmina Castle is a weather-beaten building because it's old. Most of the castles in Ghana are weather-beaten. So, you can use this word. It's a very good word for you guys. So, if you say something is weather-beaten, all you mean is that what? It's been damaged by the effects of what? The weather. So, let's see. Weather beaten. Right. If you say something is weather beaten, basically this is what it looks like. Let me show you if I can get some buildings. Can you guys see what they're showing me?
They're showing him once.
Yeah, places, but that's not what we want. That's what we want. Okay, so it's always good to modify your search. So weather-beaten building. So you can see most of the towns along the coast, Jamestown and Mina, most of them are weather-beaten because of the sea salt and the waves and the wind. So that's a nice little, I don't know. It is not, is that, it doesn't, it's not an idiomatic expression. It's just a good expression, very uncommon expression. So weather-beaten. Okay, so Elmina Castle for sure, it is weather-beaten. It looks more like this, like the sun, heat mixed with rain and all that. Good. Or you can say, well, it's a high-rise condominium. Right? Condominium is a very tall building. It's all saying, well, it's a story building. So any building that is like more than 5, let's say, no, not 5. Okay, well, Elijah said he's in Harkov, right? So there are lots of condominiums in Harkov, Elijah. So condominiums are like 9-story hostels and all those buildings. Okay. Yeah, so you can, another word for tower is condominium or high-rise buildings. Good. So or you can talk about what it is. I know you guys have your own as well, right? But I don't want you to be too confident or overly confident in that. Try to make it less common, right? Try to get more vocabulary onto what you have, okay, to boost your score so you can boost and ace your exam. Okay, good. So if it's a city, you can say, well, it's a picturesque town. So who wants to try it? Who knows what the meaning of this is? Picturesque. Who can try? I mean, it's quite obvious from the. Who's going to help us out? Does anybody?
Elijah.
Sorry?
Dr. Elijah.
Why are you mentioning my name?
Elijah should go, right?
Yeah, yeah.
No. Why are you mentioning my name? Please?
So yeah, good. So if something is picturesque, right, it's enchanting because it's.
I think like attractive or something like.
Very good.
Very nice.
Okay, that's it. Basically it. Right, it's attractive because it's got lots of pictures or sort of like things that are, yeah. So you see, Elijah was right. There we go. It's so picturesque. So instead of going there and say, oh, it's an attractive town. It's a really nice one. It's a really nice town. That's band 6 territory. You can say it's what? It's enchanting. It's beguiling. It's picturesque. It's a picturesque town. And then now you just move up the ladder. Okay. Okay. So another one is, let's say, they're most Accra, especially central. Which part of Accra is really bustling and vibrant? Makola or yeah, Accra Central is a really, let's say, Accra Central is a bustling, vibrant city, right? That can be found in the heart of Ghana. Right, Kyiv is in Ukraine, so Kyiv is a bustling, vibrant city that can be found in the heart of Ukraine. So, or you can say an unspoiled neighborhood. Look at that lovely collocation out there, unspoiled. So if something is unspoiled, it means it's not damaged by pollution, right? So most of our villages in Volta region and Eastern region, especially Eastern region, most of the places they are unspoiled, right, from the harmful effects of factories and all that. So you can see still like Iberi Gardens is an unspoiled neighborhood, right? And then you're like, oh, where's this guy? This guy's about 7 and above. Okay, good. So yeah, and then what you can do there, you can shop till you drop, blah blah blah. It's a great place to hang loose. So look at that. Hang loose, idiomatic language again. It doesn't mean you're hanging yourself on a loose rope, right? It's a great place to hang loose. It's just to have a good time. Okay. Good. And as usual, always add the sentiments to it. Okay. So why did you like the place? Or so we're talking about places. So why did you like it? So did you visit? Where did you visit? Did you visit New York? Did you visit the Times Square? Did you visit Kyiv? Did you visit Paga National Park? So he said, I adored it. Right. I fell head over heels with the place. Look at that. Yet again. Right. Band 7 territory, head over heels. It doesn't mean that someone's head is on the floor and then they're stomping heels on it. That's it. All these pointy. It doesn't mean that. Okay. So that's idiomatic again. So idioms don't mean what the words represent. That is why if you don't know an idiom, you don't know. You only have to learn it with what? The dictionary, okay? That is the dictionary. That's what the dictionary does. So you can see, right? So a good trick for you guys. Normally when you type head over heels in a dictionary, you wouldn't get it. So you have to type the main word, which is head or heels. And then you go down to the idiomatic place, and then you find it. So if I'm saying like head, right? You can see head. You go down. Head over heels right here, right? So also head over heels in love. So madly in love with the place right there, okay? So that is it. Good. So practice, and you guys will be perfect, okay? So this is my template for you guys. It's really going to help you. I'll do well to put it out there for you guys in the Microsoft Teams channel. And yes, any questions so far for me?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not me. I don't have any question for you.
Percy, Ingrid. Ingrid has been unusually quiet today. Maybe Ingrid is having a cup of tea. Or Ingrid is probably just not in the mood to talk to us today. I don't know why.
I'm around.
Oh, she's around. Good. So let's see if we can put this into some nice little practice. With this, so here we go with your part 2 speaking. Here we go, part 2 speaking. Yeah, see, some people like to call it the talk. Well, I like to call it the long term because you're gonna have to. This is where it's like you're uncontrolled. Okay, so you're going. You just have to go. The examiner is only going to interrupt you when the 2 minutes or the 1.5 minute time is up. Please don't talk for less than 1 minute or you lose marks. Always talk between 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, find yourself there. Please don't talk for less. So I'm going to set the timer for you guys. So I want you guys to choose any of these topics. I won't put pressure on you. Okay, I'll not put pressure on you. Just choose. You can choose art, book, communication, daily routine, exercise, family, gift, hobby, internet, because these are definitely sample questions you would get. Like kindness, Ielts. I mean, they have a ton of questions. I mean, innumerable, right? And uncountable, basically, right? They're always questions for you. Some of them are boring, some of them are really good, some of them actually fit your life, right? Yes, one more thing. Don't worry, in IELTS, no one is going to ask you about sensitive or volatile topics or inflammatory topics like religion, like sexual orientations. Those are questions that are not going to come. They wouldn't come. That's not what they are there for. All these politics of the world, religious, all these very sensitive, volatile, quick to catch fire topics. Okay, no one is going to put you in that uncomfortable position. Okay, no one will do that to you. So all these things like gender rights and all that. No. Those are very sensitive topics. And so you can see, if you can see from the list here, it's all about like, I mean, wholesome things. Okay, unexpected vocations, what's our favorite shop and stuff like that. So please, guys, choose from one of these ones. Okay. So ladies first. Okay, what am I gonna pick? So I'm gonna name some names. So let's go with Ingrid first. Ingrid, which one would you go for if you were to pick from among these? I wish there was a way you could either choose art, book. So when Ingrid is done choosing, then I'll ask Prissy to choose as well. Then Elijah will choose, okay? So Ingrid, if you're there, choose from one of these: art, book, communication, daily routine. Don't worry, guys, don't be shy, okay? I want you guys to be my friends. Okay, I want to be your friend as well. So don't worry, just let it all out here. Just let it all out here. There's one thing I like about Elijah. Elijah just goes. He just goes. He's ready. He just goes. right? And that's the kind of character you need in Ielts speaking, right? Because you want to make the impression that, man, no, no, I'm not here to be shy or timid. Okay, Ingrid, are you there?
I'm there. I'm still thinking of the one to choose from.
Okay, so let's see: hobby, internet, journey, kindness, language. Um, don't worry, don't think too much about choosing. Just choose anything that comes to your mind. Okay, no one, we're not killing ourselves here. Okay, nobody expects much from you here. Okay, don't worry, it's not like a competition. We're not competing with ourselves. Okay, no. Don't worry. We're friends. We're just gonna learn nicely. Okay. Good. Music, news, old people, photograph. Oh, Ingrid, do you want us to come back to you if you're still choosing? We can
Ye-
go.
yes.
Okay, so
No,
we'll
no,
come back
no,
to.
no, 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 no.
No, we're only choosing here. We're not actually having a go yet. Okay, so you're only making a choice. Okay, so you want to give it a go? Yeah, oh, sorry, make a choice rather, not give it a go. So your favorite shop, zoo, or vacation, travel, unexpected event, sport, respect, photograph, old people, news, music, language, kindness, journey, internet, hobby, gift, family, exercise, daily routine, communication, books, and art. Which one will you go for, Prissy?
Doc, is there a difference between the journey and the travel?
I don't. Well, apparently yes. Right. So, I mean, let's see. What was it? Travel? What was it? Travel. This is travel, right? Describe a
Mm-hmm.
place you recently visited. You should say where you went, who you went there with, how you got there, and explain why you enjoyed it. So that's travel. I don't know where was journey. This journey. Describe a journey that doesn't go as planned. You should say where you were going, how you were traveling, who you were with, what went wrong, and explain what you would do differently. Good. So that's the difference. Okay. So what would you go for in for?
Journey.
So we have a choice now. Prissy made a choice. Good journey. So we'll keep that for Prissy. Okay, Elijah, what are you going for? Are you going in for art, book? You can choose any of your favorite. Anything you feel like you can just choose. Okay, communication, daily routine, exercise, family, gifts, hobby, internet, kindness, language, music, news, old people, photograph, and respect. So are you ready, Elijah? Is Elijah there?
Go back to family.
Okay, you want to go back to family. Okay, good.
Mhm.
When I just Prissy chose journey, and Elijah is
Oh, you bypassed family.
family. So family, you should say who it is, what relationship you have to that person. So it says describe a family member you get on well with.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to go in for that one?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so now let's go. Let's come back to Ingrid. Is Ingrid ready for us now?
Yeah.
Okay, so which is it?
I'll take travel.
Travel. Okay, fine. Good. So that's fine. That's brilliant. So yeah, I can see. So who wants to go first? Do we cast the dice or do we toss a coin?
Like that.
Sorry,
Ladies first. Ladies first.
ladies first, right? Now you guys are making this tough for me, isn't it? Let's see if there's a way. Let's see if there's a way to go about this. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see if there's a way to go about this. Let's see.
Really.
Yeah, we have to do this. Good. So let's see. Let's see if let's see if okay. So right. So this is good. So you got your pick. So you have 1 to 6. Whichever one comes first. So choose your number. Okay.
Three.
Okay.
So if
So
you come first, you're the one you go.
yeah, if you come first, you're the one going. So who chose 3? Was it Prissy?
Pussy chose three.
Okay. So what Ingrid choosing then?
I'm
5.
choosing
5.
two.
Okay. What about Elijah?
Two.
2. Great. So drum rolls. I'm gonna just click the button, and whoever pops up first is gonna go. Whoa. So we have to do it again because nobody actually showed. Okay, so one more time. Okay. 5. Who went in for 5?
Ingrid. Ingrid is
Hey,
5.
no.
Ingrid is 5.
Oh,
No,
this
no,
is
no.
fair. This is quite
No.
fair.
This is fair. This is fair.
Yeah, this is quite fair actually. You see, your friends are saying it's quite fair, right, Ingrid? Come on, Ingrid, come on.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
Why is it not
Who
fair?
goes second?
I don't know, but no,
Ro-
it's
Roll
not.
Ingrid, you're going first. Roll the dice for the second person. The person who goes second.
No, don't, Ingrid. Honestly, don't worry, okay? Just that's about speaking, okay? Don't worry, okay? Just give it a go. Just try, okay? We're here to learn, okay? Honestly, to be honest.
Okay.
Let's roll the dice for the
Okay.
person that will go after
Okay.
Ingrid.
Let's see. Let's roll it again. That's Elijah says. So see who's gonna go. 5 again. We have to roll again. So they want Ingrid to go 2 times. Well, 6. What kind of dice is this? 2. So that's
Yes!
so
I like this.
I just have to go second, Ingrid. So let's put it here. Good. So don't. Oh, you guys might have to. I have a call. Okay, just a quick one. Okay, I'll be with you guys soon. They say when mom is calling, don't reject the calls. Let me pick mom's call.
All right.
All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry. I just had to pick the call quickly. Okay, good. So that was Ingrid with travel, right?
Yeah.
So to be honest, right? Honestly, Ielts speaking. If you're shy here, right? Just imagine how you're gonna feel when you're there in there because you're gonna meet like a stranger who might be very strict with you. Okay, so just don't worry about shyness. Just go for it. Don't worry about how you speak, whatever. To be honest, just go for it. Just do whatever you want to do. I mean, you see the way Elijah was doing it. Elijah was just going for it, and that is all. That is what it is about. Just go for it. Okay, just go for it. Yeah, go for it. So I'm the examiner. I'm gonna put a timer. Just want you guys to
Hey,
have a
please,
feel.
I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Please, you see the one I chose, the travel, the
Yeah.
third one. Are they asking for like my means of transport or what?
Fantastic. Yes, fantastic. That's it. So describe a place you have recently visited. You should say where you went. So name the place, who you went there with. Did you go with some friends, family, mom, dad? How did you get there? What means of transport was it? Was it a bus? Was it a flight? Was it like some sort of sail on a ship? Things like that. And explain why you enjoyed it. So this is where the emotiveness comes in, emotive language, feelings. Explain why you enjoyed it. Okay.
Okay.
So I just want you guys to have a feel of what speaking for 1 to 2 minutes is like. It's actually not easy. So already just know that I know it's not easy, okay? But I just want you guys to have a feel of it so that when you get in there, you already know what it's about, okay? Good. So so normally, right, the examiner is going to say this. Thank you. They might just thank you for the first part, right? So we now move on to part 2. Here, I would give you a cue card or a booklet, and then the record is still ongoing. So describe a place you have recently visited. You should say where you went, who you went with, how you got there, and explain why you enjoyed it. So we can probably do it in the exam setting. In the exam setting, they'll give you a piece of paper and a pen so you can make your notes. So Ingrid, I'm going to give you 1 minute. Okay, so you can like
Okay.
think more. So they'll give you a paper and then a note and a pen and a piece of paper, okay, or pen or pencil with a booklet or cue card in front of you just to make notes. Advice when you write down your notes, right? Don't read from it. Please don't do that because they'll feel like, well, you just, like I said, learned something by rote or mechanically, and then you're vomiting or pouring it. All right. So please, when you just use a paper for notes, okay? Just like notes only, and then go ahead. So your 1 minute time starts now, Ingrid. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so the 1 minute is up. So the examiner will now say, you may now begin. Are you there, Ingrid? Is Ingrid there?
Yes, please. I'm here. Sorry, my mic was off.
Okay, yeah. So now you can begin. Let's go.
Okay. I traveled to the United Kingdom, and that was 3 months ago. I am back on this trip with my family, and that included my mom, my dad, and my 2 siblings. Our means, our means of transportation was by air. We got Our means of transportation was by air. We we got to the airport on the 14th of 14th of December 2021. When we got to the airport, we checked in. We checked in at the Emirates check-in point. After that, we made our way through to the immigration. From there, we went to sit upstairs and had some chit chat where we took in some meals. Then, in 45 minutes later, they started calling out. The, the flight was embarking. So, we left and made our way to the boarding gates where we were checked and we entered the plane. How you got there? Yes. This flight was a 7-hour flight to Heathrow Airport. To Heathrow. to Heathrow Airport. Okay. You got there. So my souls are a lot. Okay. So in 7 hours time, we got to our destination and followed the legal procedures and went out of the airport.
Okay, so now that's it. That's it. So the 2 minute time is up, right? So what
Wow.
is just interject, all right, and then just say
Okay.
thank you,
Thank you.
and just say thank you for like blah 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 blah. Okay, so tell me, Ingrid, how was it? How do you think you fared? How was it?
I don't know. I feel like I didn't do well.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, we are here to learn, right? We are all learning from each other, right? I just wanted you guys to have a feel of it out. Talking about something that bringing up like something to say in a very, very coherent and logical fashion is not easy, right? So I'm glad you've experienced what it is like being in the chair because when you get there, this is how it's going to be like. And imagine because you on that day you'd be even more nervous because you feel like oh it's an exam, so you're even much more nervous on that day, right? So it's very good that we practice. Okay, it's very very good that we practice before. For sure, you were able to meet the time, which is very good, right? You had some uh, how to go, phrasal verbs in there. I think I can remember everything. Was it made way with or made away with something like that, and some other ones, which is good, right? But I would advise that we practice, okay, so that you don't repeat words. Remember, I think you said it yourself that you were repeating words. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yes, and that's what they are going to penalize you. So, for example, it says what band. Uh, so you see, band six says is willing to speak at length, though may lose coherence at times due to occasional repetition. Right, and band five says usually maintains flow of speech but uses repetition. So you don't want to be repeating yourself because you start falling in these territories, six and downwards. Okay. Links, yeah, repetitious use. All this, if you're repeating too much, look at band seven. Band seven says some repetition. Okay. Not a lot, but some, and self-correction, right? May demonstrate language hesitation at times, right? But look at eight. Hesitation is usually content related and only rarely to search for language. Right. So what sometimes if you're so what you're trying to say is that if you want to hesitate, it's fine to hesitate, right? But when you hesitate, it's to search for content. It's not to search for words or grammar, right? So if you're hesitating to search for words or grammar, the examiners will spot that. They'll find it out. They'll figure that out. You don't want to do that. You don't want to hesitate for grammar or words. You want to hesitate for like ideas and content instead of the words. Okay. So that's why we should hesitate. Okay. So when you're hesitating, make sure that you're hesitating because, oh, I'm trying to look for this idea, and not because you're trying to find a word to fit in there. Otherwise, they'll penalize you for that. Okay. So you can see now that part two is not easy. I can't tell you guys how much. Uh, words cannot even express mm, what I'm trying to convey to you guys. Okay, it is not easy because over here the examiner is going to get us or you. So they're going to use all of these. They're going to look for the lexical resource, pronunciation, fluency, range, accuracy. They're going to penalize you a lot here. That's what they do. Some examiners are mean, honestly. Right? Some examiners are mean. So you also have to go there with some sort of meanness to English, like some readiness. Okay, so you want to go in there and hit it. Okay, you want to go in there and hit it properly. Okay, you just want to go in there and kill it. You're going straight for the kill. Okay, you're shooting right at your prey. Okay, so I'm glad. Well done, Ingrid. You did well. Honestly, don't be worried. It's your for a first timer, you did it amazing. Okay, very
Thank you.
very amazing. Okay, just please do not forget avoid the the local vernacular slash jargon slash uh pigeon is for boys mostly. So yeah, slash. I'm not just talking to Ingrid for this one, all of you. Okay, so please avoid that when you leading up to your exam. Please try and then fill your mind or your thoughts with wholesome English, natural, native like. Uh, so in Ghana, I mean, mostly in the news, right? Mostly the news, you'd find like, you'd find mostly the older generations, right? You'd find like them speaking very good English. All these new celebs, all these people, they just try and be doing their thing on the TV as acting as so someone like Nanaba Namwa is very good. Own Akufo-Addo is very good as well. I mean, there's several of them out there. John Mahama is very, very good too. Rollins, look at that. Just a ton of them. And the news. I mean, there's you could just find them, right? Who's that? Who's that? Kojo Nkrumah, I think, but he's no more. He's out minister, I think. They're all good. Okay. Some of these celebs are slay queens as well, so you don't want to be listening to those ones. Good, 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 good. Well done, Ingrid. Good. So Ingrid was telling us a story of a Heathrow trip to the United Kingdom. Great. So who's next? Elijah is next, isn't it?
Pressure.
Please, I want to go because he would definitely intimidate me.
So you want to go, right?
How
Yep,
would I intimidate you? I don't intimidate
Okay.
please.
you.
We know you are the best amongst us so
Let's
far.
let's let's make it.
Nah,
Let's
see,
make
it's
pretty.
you
Elijah
are
just
just hallucinating. Priscilla, don't do
Hello. Oh, so now
that.
I'm
no,
offended, Elijah.
How can you assume such? Like that statement. That's assumption. Don't do that.
oh, Elijah, don't intimidate, okay, or don't offend Prissy, okay. Just
Thank
Pretty
you.
wants. I think Pretty, you want to go first, right? You want to go second, right? So you want to go.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, I want to go
don't be
before you
offended, Chrissy. You can go. Okay.
the bars so high. Yes, so I'll just try.
Okay, so Prissy, I'm gonna give you. Uh, so I'm gonna set the timer for you, okay? So I'll tell you when the timer starts.
Okay.
So your timer is starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You may now begin.
Relax, please begin like putting down my points or
Okay,
begin
yeah,
speaking.
yeah, yeah. Let me. Okay, fine. Yeah, true. Let me give you your time. Okay, so I'm giving you 1 minute to make down your notes and put down your points. Okay, or structure your mind. Okay, so you have 1 minute. Okay, good. Thanks for reminding me. Good stuff. Columbus. What are you doing all there? Okay, so your 1 minute timer is up. So the examiner is going to say, well, you can begin now. Proceed.
Okay, so my journey that didn't go as planned was quite recent. I think about 3 weeks ago, where I was heading for the UK. I was very delighted about the trip because it was something I always wanted to do. And um, I was going by air with the Turkish airline. I was supposed to have spend about 8 hours in Istanbul to connect my flight to the UK. And it was a solo trip. I was going alone, which wasn't quite new to me because I've been doing that a lot, travel alone. a lot of times. And then apparently there was a form I was supposed to fill, which I didn't know of. And I had reached the airport, and then it was time for me to check in. And I headed to the check-in points only to be told that I needed a form to be able to board. And then I asked for help everywhere, but help came from nowhere actually. And I was so devastated because then I had no time to do all that before the flight would take off. So I was delayed, and then finally the flight took off. And that was when everything took the wrong turn and everything went south. And I was just stranded at the airport. And I think the next time I have the opportunity to travel, I'll get all the information I need concerning that trip so that I wouldn't be misinformed or miss any information I'm supposed to know. And then do everything as required. Then get on board so that this will not be repeated and not be found wanting the next time I travel.
Like,
Oh
Lucy actually finished right on the dots.
my god,
This
that
is
was
very
so
good.
terrible.
You did exceptionally good. Honestly, you did very, very well. There was something good. It felt like you could keep to the story. It just felt like you were flowing. There was not a lot of hesitation out there, right? I'm not here to actually mark anybody's grammar and vocabularies and stuff. I'm just gonna like just highlight the goods and then the bad places. But what I noticed was like you were able to speak like without you actually flowing. Honestly, that's what I felt like. You were actually going on. It felt like a real story, right? I think you
It's
meant.
so it's a real story.
Was it a real story? Honestly,
Yeah, it was a real
yeah,
story.
you could tell. So
It was
you see
Yeah,
true.
it's a
the,
real story. She told me
the
about
You
it.
like
examiners,
that? Please
Yeah.
be quiet.
the examiners are always going to be able to tell if it's a real story or it's a fake one,
Mhm.
because when it's a real story, you'd always flow. So for you and Ingrid, you guys were given the real stories, right? So but that's why I always advise not to fabricate too much, because when you're fabricating, it might not sound too real, but you also because you said you felt devastated, which is quite a tough word out there, right? Which is band seven territory already, and everything went south. So you're not necessarily going south, you're not going south to wherever, South London or South England because you were in the UK, right? So everything just went not as planned, right? So that's good. That's good. But what I would advise you guys should try to improve more on your where is it? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Because that's what they're looking for. Okay. Here we go. Right. Lexical resources and grammatical range. Okay. I don't think there's a problem with pronunciation and being fluent and coherent. Fluency will come as long as you start practicing. So that one, it's fine. Your fluency is going to come naturally when you get the confidence. So you need the confidence. Don't be shy. It's going to come when you're confident and you're talking about something that is true. It's going to come naturally. But the lexical resources, like the idiomatic languages, right? So,
Mhm,
so I advise that you use more phrasal verbs that are idiomatic instead of idiomatic expressions. Okay, so things like
mm,
I think Ingrid used one, made away with, and stuff like that. Use a lot of those, not just ones or twos. Okay, because definitely we're English speakers. Okay, so these things will definitely come out when we're speaking, but you want to use the less common ones, right?
mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
with occasional inaccuracies. So because if you go and you're using only idiomatic expressions, it's going to sound very mechanical and fake. Like, okay, oh, he bit the dust, he kicked the bucket, oh, once in the blue moon, head over heels, da 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 da, give up the ghost, and all this. Those are things that, or or you say, maybe we're talking about jewelry. It says the jewelry cost an arm and leg, right? I mean, basically, it was expensive. Those things, right? Try to use phrasal verbs instead, right? Let me see if I can show you guys what phrasal verbs are actually. Phrasal verbs are very innocent and succinct. In a sense, it's very like straightforward and it's easy to understand, and they give like the listener the best possible understanding, right? No one will actually question you, right? When you use phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are by far the best because they are idiomatic as well, right? So phrasal verbs, look at that. Let's see phrasal verbs. They're very they're very good. Phrasal verbs are the good, very, very good. So things like so phrasal verb is just a verb in there followed by something else, most likely a preposition. So break up, right? Break out, break off, blow up, back up, bring in, come across, come apart. Right, these are good things for you guys. You use the less common ones, okay? So I don't really get along with my friend. So that's a nice little phrasal verb out there, get along. It's quite less common as well. Instead of saying things, right, with using big vocabulary. They're not. It's not a vocabulary test. No one is going. It's not like a place to show off, like our leaders like to show off. So the main problem with most of our leaders, all these politicians, is that they like to use big vocabulary, but then their grammars are bad. You have bad grammar because there's always big blah 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 blah, big words on TV, but then the grammar is poor. So we want our grammar to be strong because you can go into the test and have very good grammar, excellent grammar, and you can get about an 8 or 9. If you go into the test and you have very good vocabulary, but you have bad grammar, you can get a 6. IELTS is not about vocabulary. And the grammar comes with things like phrasal verbs, okay? Phrasal verbs. Wake up, come back, keep up, look for, look up. These are common ones, but set aside, setback. Oh, there was a setback while I was traveling. Right? Because when you use phrasal verbs, you sound very native, very English, because that's what they do. Right? That's it. Because phrasal verbs are natural. You don't need to go to school necessarily to use phrasal verbs. Right? If you go to like law schools and stuff, that is when you're able to use vocabularies that are unfamiliar, like university level. But with phrasal verbs, when you're born in like an English country, you speak them naturally, and that's what makes you native. But if you want vocabulary, you should have probably attended some English school or law school or medical school, and you start using all these large words out there, right? Okay. Good. So well done. You guys are doing well. Yeah, I'm happy with what you're doing. So finally, the man of the hour, isn't it? The girls are saying that you're giving them too much pressure.
Yeah,
Like,
so
Drum
How?
roll.
What kind of pressure?
so we should read drum roll for Elijah.
Yeah, now you are not putting so much pressure on me. Like I
Yeah,
don't
I know. So now that will put more pressure on you too, right? Yeah. 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 Okay, so now we get to know that Ingrid and Prissy were in the UK. Lovely. Lovely to hear that.
well, wahala for some of us who have not been to
Well,
the
how
UK.
some of us, so you see, so good. Let's see. You chose our family, isn't it?
Yes, please.
I'm gonna give you a 1 minute time. It says, let's see. Describe a member of. I think it's a mistake. Okay, don't worry. Describe a member of your family you get on well with. So look at this. This is a lovely phrasal verb. See, get on well with. So these are simple, but they're very idiomatic. Right? You don't need like some sort of grandiloquence. So when it's or some sort of exaggerated language, right? So when someone is grandiloquent in the sense that's what our leaders do. All these politicians, they're very grandiloquent on the radio. They try to show off that they've been to the university, but then their grammar, when you look into their grammar, it's really bad. That's the one we want out here. We want to be natural. It's like, that's why. That's why this thing is not. It's felt like Collins is broken today. Good. It's probably on grammar only. No. I'm wondering like what was going on with Collins. So when someone you say someone is grandiloquent, they try to speak in a very exaggerated fashion. They want their language to be so exaggerated because they want people to see them as important. Okay, we don't want to be doing. Okay, We don't want any grandiloquence out there. Okay, we want to be as natural, as succinct and subtle as possible. So you want to be like very straight to the point. Okay, so that's what I'm teaching you guys. Ielts speaking is all about vocabulary, all blah blah blah, all the big words. Like think about that. It's no. Okay, so you want to express your words clearly and lovely, nicely. Okay, good. So let me give Elijah time. So Elijah, you have your 1 minute, and then
Okay.
you make up your thoughts. Okay, there you go. Okay, Elijah's time is up. So Elijah, you have the floor yours.
Okay. Um, Gertrude is a family. Gertrude is a relative that I get on with so well. We are cousins, and from my mother's side. She's actually the only child of my mother's elder sister, and She's someone who strives to get the best out of each and every one in the family. She's loving, she's caring, and one thing she doesn't take for granted is it's who she is and what she wants in future. So she's well oriented. She's basically, I would say, a CEO of her own. We do get along quite well. We share everything we can possibly. We talk about everything, hangouts. We do video calls with family. We talk about the future and what we want to do in the next 5, 10 years. We had a falling out somewhere last 2 years. I think it was because I went to Ghana without telling her, and then she had it was a big issue, so we had to sort it out. And then she was just being mean, I would say. But then she was considerate. Actually, she realized that it wasn't my fault, and we had to come to a consensus. We spoke about it, and everything was like calm. We we forgot about everything. We do get along so well. We do get along so well in a way because we separate our differences from who we are, because there's something she has a kind of attitude I do not like, but we settled that we have our own way of actually settling that, and we move past it. So it's not a big issue for me. It gets to a point whereby even when I post it on my social media, my friends think she's my significant other, but actually she's someone I love so much in the family. It's because of what she wants to bring out of you as a person, and she always wants the best for each and every family member, and she tries to bring all the kids together, like in unity and in whatever we do. So she's so amazing, and I really love her for that. I would just my only prayer for her is that she gets married very soon, because she's still single and she is a well-branded woman on her own. Trust me,
That's good.
it's
That's
she's so
good.
unique. Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you.
wow. Wow. So Elijah didn't want to stop for Prissy. Did you notice? Elijah didn't want to stop for that too. It's like if the
This
person
guy,
is saying stop, but he doesn't want to stop.
pressure.
Well done. Good stuff, Elijah. So I can see that. See, we can blame Percy for this because when you were starting, I felt like you were thinking too much in the beginning, but then you go into your strides later on. Like, that's how I felt like. When you started off, you were quite edgy. Maybe you're thinking of what Priscilla was saying that
Yeah, I was quite edgy at the beginning. Yeah, I realized that.
Please don't blame me.
I realized that you are to blame, Prissy. You are to blame.
No, but you go into your strides later on in the talk, right? So you guys, I want you guys to tell me, what do you think? Is speaking easy? You think
No,
speaking?
It,
no. Not
it's not easy because you need to get your thoughts
Yeah,
like
that
flowing like
is
consistently one
consistently,
after the other and other. Yeah.
logically. You want to. So it is it. This is what you want to do. This is what you want to do. What produce a flow of English, right? You give a long answer. That's what you do in part two, and produce a flow of English. When something is flowing, right, it doesn't stop. That's what they expect from you, right? Yeah, I can't remember some of the uncommon territories you were entering with your word, but I forgot. I think it's significant other. There was another one. I think you said fallout. I don't know if you said something like that. I can't really remember. But
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
saying
Yeah. Yeah.
so. You guys should please practice, okay? Please practice. That's the only way because they're going to judge you on these four criteria, okay? Okay, and then you're recorded, so they have the chance to always play back and even look for your faults, the mean ones. Okay, so please make sure that you correct all the occasional or um, how do we call it? Repetitions and inaccuracies. Okay, it's always going to be there with us, right? So um, I wanted to show you one where I did in my own. Let's say something like this. I'm sure you guys have seen it already, but for the sake of probably Prissy, I'm gonna just then we can end it there. Shit, where's my file? Ugh. Mm, okay. Um. Yeah. How do we say it? Speaking is not easy. Okay. I'm sure you guys already seen it, so that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, this is it. Yeah. So yeah. Right. Something like this. So this is like a part two type of question where you're describing your closest friend, or maybe you. So normally when you want to start, you can say, "I'll just get straight into it." Right. That's a good one too as well. So you're already setting the tone, right? Or you're telling the examiner that you're just. So normally that's how I used to start. Or I would start like I would just get straight into it and talk about a family member that I really get along with. So that's for the case of Elijah. For the case of Percy, it's just I would just get straight into it and talk about a journey that didn't go as planned. Or you can then rephrase this whole thing and use your own word or vocabulary here and show the examiner. Well, I'll just get straight into it and talk about the journey that probably went south or didn't go as expected. Instead of saying planned, you can use expected. So you're changing. And then for the for Ingrid, travel. So I'll just get straight into it and talk about a place I visited recently, right? Or a journey. I mean, I think you can substitute travel with journey here for sure. That's Ingrid, and same for Prissy as well. You can substitute journey with travel. Okay, so I'll just get straight into it and talk about somewhere I recently visited. Right, and that's the way you can now proceed and then go along. Okay, so if you guys find out that so you okay, let me see. Yeah, this is the best. So look at something like this. Is it describe your closest friend, right? So you can go ahead and use these ones. First of all, right? That was part one. That was a part one where I was teaching you guys how to use your connectors. Or you can say, I would say, or first of all, or to begin with, right? Uh, yeah, to begin with, first of all, Thompson is the name of my closest friend, and I must say that he or she's arguably the most loyal friend I've ever had. As a matter of fact, you see, these are all lovely expressions. As a matter of fact, I would say he's a bosom friend. Bosom. So bosom means the chest of somebody, of a human being. So when someone's a bosom friend, it's very close. And I know him like the back of my hand. And then blah blah blah. To know somebody like it is an idiom, it means that you know them very well. Okay, you know because you can always see your hand, so you know your hands very well. and then you switch up. So it's always good to switch up. You say, having said that, or you can say, mind you, however, we honestly do not see eye to eye on some life-related issues or topics. And then you move in from there. You just go, just flow. Okay. So it's always good to always talk about something. You take the examiner's mind somewhere, and then you switch with however. Or you can say, having said that, or you can say, that said, or whilst that is true, I also think. All right. So things like that. So you get along with Gertrude. Whilst that is true, I also think she's a bit blah, 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 pompous, right? Or let's say, I really enjoyed my travel, my journey, right? Because it was what? It was uplifting, right? And it was lifting or it was enlightening. Whilst that is true, I also think that da, 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 da. At the same time, I also think da, 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 da. So you see, you're just like, you talk about the goods of what you were talking about, and then you come back and talk about some of the negative as well. Just a tip for you guys, okay? I think I might have to post this one there for you guys to go through. So you can go through it and use the connectors properly and good, okay? So, I mean, I'm amazed at you guys. I wasn't expecting to go past the 2 hour mark. Yeah, the final thing is see eye to eye. So when you don't see eye to eye with someone, it doesn't mean that you hate the person. It doesn't mean that you guys are fighting or enemies. It just means you do not agree on something. Right? So if I don't see eye to eye with my friend, it means that we just do not agree. It doesn't mean that you're enemies, okay? If you don't see eye to eye with someone. So remember my tips for you. Use the dictionary. Let the dictionary be your native voice, okay? If not, that's number one. Secondly, resort to what? Wholesome English contents, like to be your native voice. Friends, documentaries, series, right? And make notes of new words you find, and then practice how to use them. And that is the way you would boost your English, okay? Just go out there and kill it. Any questions so far for me?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Mhm. Doc, please, if you notice that your topic, you don't have much to talk about your topic, can you speak a little slower than usual? Or,
Go ahead.
because then I realized that Ingrid was speaking a bit slower than I was. So I was able to like cover a lot. I mean, a lot of time. But if not for the fact that mine was right on time, I was really done. I didn't know what to say.
Okay, good question. You really asking good questions today. Fantastic question. So the advice is for you to speak 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, not 2 minutes. I made you guys go 2 minutes. Okay, so don't worry about your pace. Right. If you speak for 1.5, 1 hour, 1 minute 30 seconds, that is very acceptable. So what the examiner is going to do is, when you stop at the 1 minute 30 seconds, the examiner will just ask you a few questions. Because you've spoken for more than 1 minute, just don't speak under 1 minute. Okay. If you try to be very slow, they'll figure that out, and they'll not like it. Okay. Or they might give you a sign. They might use their hands to like prop you up to say that try and speak faster. Right. Or if you speak slowly too as well, what you're doing to yourself is you're putting yourself at band 6 and below. Okay, because it's some sort of hesitation, right? Why are the band descriptors? So it's happened so many times I opened. Yeah, so if you speak slowly, right, you put yourself. He says, you see, 6 is saying it's willing to speak at length. So if someone is willing to speak at length, would they speak slowly? They wouldn't, would they? Right. So if you're not willing to speak at length, that's when you speak slowly. So and then you fall below like 6 and downwards. Okay, and so you just reduce your own mark out there. Okay, that's if you don't want a 6. So try to speak a good pace like the way you normally do, right? But don't be too fast as well. Just normal speed, good speed, not slow, just adequate speed. Okay. Don't worry, you're not supposed to hit the 2 minute mark. If it's 1 minute 30 seconds, that's fine. I just made you guys go all the 2 minutes because that's what I have to do to you guys, so that when you get there, I was training you guys to speak for long. Okay. but definitely not 1 minute. Don't speak for 1 minute. Okay, try to time yourselves and don't speak for 1 minute.
All right.
That's
Thank
that
you.
question. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, so thank you very much, guys. I'm glad you at least you had a feel of it. So in our next will be part 3. Part 3 has to do with abstract thinking. So that's where linguistic ceiling, as some people call it. So we will reach our linguistic ceiling. We're going to force you guys to reach your linguistic ceiling, your English ceiling, the best as you can, because in part 3, that is when you find out that they will ask you abstract, very like critical thinking questions, right? So they'll move into things like life. So let's see, what's part 3? So this is part 3 topics. It's really tough questions out here. So it's mostly it's quite demanding. So let's see. Yeah, look at this. So let's say you guys spoke about journeys, right? So to continue in that fashion. So for someone like James, sorry, for someone like Elijah, family. So you continue with family in that fashion. Is family important in your country? Right. So it's what is it? It's like demanding your reasoning and ability and thinking. How has the size of the family changed in the last few decades in your country? So yet again, they're demanding you, right? From you, they're demanding from you some sort of critical thinking here. How do you think the family will change in the future? Questions that would seek to draw you out. Okay, so part 3 is like, as people call, I like to call it a linguistic ceiling. It's like a discussion. So the examiner is allowed to talk to you like the way you're talking to me. So this is the only place where the examiner might like to talk to you, because these are conversations human beings like to talk about. So if you go into the examiner, you're very like nonchalant. You don't want to just give it a go. You're not outspoken. The examiner will not be moved to speak with you in a conversational manner in part 3. Okay. And then you lose points as well. Who do you think should be responsible for the care of the elderly, the family or the government? Look at such a question. Right? It demands thinking. Okay. So part 3 will turn our next part. That's what we'll talk about. Okay. Thank you guys. I'll give you guys all like A pluses today. Okay. Well done. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good day. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.